All right, hey folks, I'm on holiday, so let's do some afternoon game design. We're going to play with Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition 2024 Bastion rules from the Dungeon Master's Guide. This is our 6th session of dissecting and analyzing the Bastion system and then rebuilding it into an ability check option so that you can have successes and failures. That when successful, we have a scaffold for what it is that you get based on tiers 1 to 5. And if there's a failure, instead of you wasting your time, it creates a complication that becomes a plot hook for an adventure. Thus the idea of Bastion campaigns. So that's what we're building today. Give me a second here to check my signal, and we'll get through. We'll get through some quick intros, and then we'll get to work. So I'm gonna click over here and go to my channel, and looks like it's up. Doing a mic check. Mic check. 1 2 3. Looks like it's up. Yep. Doing a mic check. Mic check. Yeah, that sounds pretty good. Okay, let me drop that down there and grab a link. We'll do some social media posting here real quick. And I'll do ye old intro, and then we'll get launched. So my name is Phil Kearney. Hey, what's up? I create role-playing games. I illustrate them, and I publish them online. And I've been focusing my attention on Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition since 2017. I've been running games in D&D since box set back in 1987. I've been a freelance illustrator since 1999. And what got me started on building game design for Dungeons & Dragons was, well, honestly, when 3rd edition ended, now, as soon as they stopped creating content, it was then what's next? And that's what actually got me fired up on creating new content. You know, when Watsu was putting out 2 splat books a month, I never felt the need to homebrew because there was so much stuff coming out so quickly. I was like, how could I possibly feel that I would need to homebrew something when what I want to do might be in all these books? So I got really good at optimizing and pulling different resources and builds together, because 3rd edition from Wizards of the Coast, when they bought it, they basically turned it into a deck building game. Go figure. They also own Magic the Gathering, the most complicated, most successful deck building game in the world. So naturally, they take that same idea and they apply it to characters. You have 20 or even more levels at later as new books came out later on. But you had basically 20 levels to optimize your characters' action economy, resources, defenses, and combat capabilities to then test out in campaigns as you would run around in dungeons and beat stuff up, blah-de-blah. As editions went on, they moved further and further away from that deck building idea. 4th edition became very cut-paste, obviously digitally intended. They were trying to build a virtual tabletop that would basically allow you to do drop-down menus to perform different tasks. That never came to fruition. Then they came out with 5th edition, which is kind of like a step somewhere between where 3rd and 4th edition were, with vibes from 2nd edition coming through into it. So it's a really fun evolution. I love how the D20 game engine works in general. The original D20 engine back in 2000 was a pretty revolutionary piece of machinery. But after time, they've been able to iterate it, and I think that 5e, especially 5e24, is probably the best D&D game engine that has been created to date. I'm a big Numenera fan as well, but it's too soft. My table really couldn't get into the idea, the goal of Cypher System or Numenera is to remove the chance of failure, so you don't even have to bother rolling the die. The more edge, circumstances, and just raw skill or ability that you have in performing a task lowers the difficulty of succeeding, lowers the difficulty class, the DC of the number that you need to hit, until it becomes 0, and then you just automatically succeed at the task. So the game was really about getting rid of rolling results and just narrating through in a heavily, with a decent amount of combat mechanics, skipping past it and basically just resolving the adventure with as you choose, cops and robbers. That was unsatisfying to my team. We like rolling dice. We like seeing success versus failures, but we don't like having our time wasted with irrelevant die rolls. So you're seeing a lot of new offshoot 5e game systems that are attempting to go in that path. And there's certainly a dozen thousand ways to skin a cat, as it were. But all that mechanics, those ideas of making your actions mean something and having die rolls that are fun on top of it without becoming overly repetitive. That's a fun a fun what am I trying to say? Tightrope to cross. So, but I think we've done a pretty good job with it with the ability check system that we have in place. I've been role playing an ability check focused role playing game with my home table since February. It's now currently December 2024, so I've had a good solid 10 months of gameplay with this system. It's really good. It was born from the in command mechanics that I had been streaming 2 years ago before the Spelljammer campaign setting launched. I basically put everything on hold to get Spelljammer out the door. And now that that was back in March, and we've been working on the Eberron adventure and a whole bunch of other 2024 stuff. And Bastion stepped forward as the most important project to continue working on at this point, simply because it curves into all the other stuff that I've been doing, the ability check system that I've been doing at my home table as a future independent RPG product as well. You'll see a Kickstarter for that probably in 2026. Off into the distance. Let's get on track. Yeah, that's what I was going to do. I like to switch account over here. So like, subscribe, hit the bell icon for notifications when we're live in the future. Here's a full playlist of the playtest document that we're using. If you click on this, it'll take you to a read-only Google Doc. See, it says Bastion Campaigns. That's the same thing I have at the top here, Bastion Campaigns. This is, and then we got a number of tabs open here that break down the different facilities that exist. I think we've completed all our facility breakdown, so we're going to start, I think, working on complications, and then loop back around, and then maybe we'll build a scaffold first. We got some stuff to do, but while we're here, again, yeah, here we go. I'm going to pluck this out of the stream so it's in its own tab. And again, here, like, subscribe, hit the bell icon for notifications when we're live in the future. Here's a bunch of books that I've already written on the DMs Guild. I mentioned Spelljammer that came out in March. It's been promoted a couple of times by the DMs Guild team. God bless you guys. Thank you. And it hit the ground running at #1 when it first released. But it's a full 107 pages, and they're all free preview for you. Looking at how we utilize action economy and ability check mechanics for exploration and combat, using 5e mechanics that you already know to have fleet, squadron, tactical combat, and space. It's pretty cool. On top of that, there's also the color mana spell point variant rule system, which is here it is. This takes the Magic the Gathering the 5 color magic system of white, blue, black, red, green magic from Magic the Gathering, and it replaces the Vancian 8 schools of magic in D&D. So if you want to have a more MTG feeling D&D 5e game, you can utilize all of these books, explore different ideas or aspects of the mana system. We're updating all of these, and of course these all have free previews as well, like the Point Warlocks here. We'll just pluck this one open here real quick and look at the free preview. And 10-page document, that's all 10 pages. You can see how the spell point system progresses, much like a monk, with added mana for Mystic Arcanum at higher levels. We've been using this system at my home table and various playtests and side campaigns for the past 7 years. I ran one full campaign from level 1 to 20 using that system. I've ran a couple one-shots, like around 7th level, and I've done a bunch of playtesting from basically from level 1 through 7 over the past years. And it's a solid system. So check it out if you're interested. You can read all my books for free. You buy my books to encourage me to make more of them, but you should be able to see this is all very couture, indie game design stuff. It's very small scale, small attention, no big Kickstarter, just a guy building games. But because of that, I don't want to have any barriers between you being able to read the content and start using this stuff in your campaign. If it's valuable to you, you'll come back around to see other stuff that I have, and you'll probably end up supporting me. So I'm just basically going on the faith measure here, and I've never been disappointed. So just check out the stuff we have. Join my Discord server. Ask questions. Be welcome to reach out. I love building tools that expand how people can play games. And I love Dungeons and Dragons. And those things have come together because 5e and how WotC is forced to perform isn't, I don't think, doing the best job of educating the next generation of gamers about what you can do with game engines, especially if it's a good game engine and an IP that you like, that you want to be able to own and create your own content for. I think you should learn how to be able to build games and how to be able to manipulate them and change the mechanics of stuff to be able to meet your flavor. And that's what I attempt to do with these books that I create. Take aspects of the 5e game engine and change it so you can have different types of campaigns. So the Bastion campaign, it basically runs on week cycles, right? In my own home campaign, I'm running on 10 days right now. Every 10 days, they run an asteroid belt operation, and they mine different regions of space of ore from these asteroids. And while they're doing that, they crack open gooey centers of kyber evil that can spill out and start killing miners, or space monsters can attack either the asteroid, the miners, or the transport ships they're using, and the riggers that are moving ore out of the asteroids back to the smelters. There could also be foreign powers that are having military operations that are claiming territories or specific rocks that you had eyes on. So there's a lot of different types of conflicts that can happen in these regions as they in every 10 days. They would do basically a general mining check to see how many resources they can pull in for that 10-day block. And each territory that they control has a chance of either running smoothly or having a complication. If it runs smoothly at the end of that 10-day block, they get their resources that they get to then spend on purchasing up different things like expanding their facilities, or purchasing additional mining territories, or purchasing a higher rank of mecha, or like war golem ships to be able to defend their territories. There's a lot of different things that they can do to build up, but that's just like what you can do with resources in general. The core of it is when they have what's relevant to you in this conversation with the Bastions is that when they fail, when they, like, depending on what the asteroids are in their territories, they have different difficulty rules that you need to hit. And when they fail a die roll, its operations have been ceased in that area because of something. It could be monsters, it could be invading military, it could be gooey darkness of evil discovered inside the asteroids. There could be a miner strike. There could be a power outage on different vessels that are taking people to and from the asteroid and smelting. The smelting refinery could go down. There could be an embargo on your territory because of threats of some sort of undead infestation, perhaps. So something is cropping up that's preventing you from being able to harness the resources smoothly. That becomes a plot hook. So your characters, the players then choose, because this is all happening inside of a 10-day block, you could have 2 or 3 different, maybe 6 complications that crop up depending on how crappy you roll across your different territories. And as your organization gets bigger, there's more chances of more territories having complications that need to be resolved. So you either resolve them yourself as an adventure, or you relegate them to a second ability check. To the first die roll is there a complication? And for everything that your players decide not to handle personally themselves, that then becomes just a passive ability check that your guild, that your Bastion performs, and it's pass or fail. So if they pass, they clear the complication, and you can insert some sort of a narrative about it, like we weren't able to get iron to our foundries to start making the armor that you needed because there was a robber baron that was holding up the highway. We did a military roll. We just sent out some NPC mercs to go deal with it as a show of force and intimidation check. They backed down. We opened up the highway. But now the DM has that robber baron as a potential rival / threat to future activities that the team performs. They've basically slighted that guy and potentially create additional complications for that person in the future. If they had failed that die roll, the efforts that the guild was able to muster to play against this robber baron failed. And now it's a bigger problem. Generally at this point is when players would get involved. It's like, well, we don't need this to continue escalating. Otherwise, it's going to shut down more and more of our operations. That will be our next adventure. So after that 10 days spools out and the Bastion fails to resolve the situation for you, that then triggers the players to send their characters in to deal with it. And you could run multiple teams in a West March style. You could roll one group of characters one group of players that have multiple groups of characters at different levels that can go out and deal with different, we have a Delver team, we have a diplomacy team, and we have a military mecha war golem combat team. And they want to build an espionage team so they can start spying on rival guilds and hostile governments to find out what's going on. So they're looking at having 4 different teams that can run 4 different types of adventures that utilize basic D20 mechanics to resolve. This is the role-playing game that we're developing for Kickstarter. But the same premise is just simplified here, that when you have a complication, you can either have your Bastion send out a fixer to resolve it for you because you don't have time to do it yourself, or it's escalated to a point, or this is important enough to us to have the players get involved directly, and whatever that threat is, you can scale the threat to meet the level of characters that they send out. Because if the characters don't succeed, that's another complication and setback that gets created. And all these are designed to be episodic, where when the team resolves a complication or launches their own initiative to create a new channel of adventure for themselves, that's all resolved in episodic 10-day bursts. With this Bastion campaign system that we're developing, it'll be weeks. We have days, weeks, seasons, and years are basically the 4 time frames we have for downtime activity. So your characters can or might not need to be at the Bastion to be able to issue these orders. They just have to be able to communicate with the Bastion. And basically, in this style of campaign, your team is constantly rotating in and out of your Bastion, performing tasks every 10 days. So your team generally is going to start off at the Bastion when you start resolving your die rolls for different commands, for different orders that you've issued, like constructing stuff or expanding territory or creating an alliance with another organization so that you can merge and expand your territories together. There's a lot of different things you might try, like harvesting exotic mushrooms to create a strange poison. These are all things you can do with the Bastion system. And with this, and the way that we've rebuilt it, they're all ability checks. So you start off in your Bastion. You have so many tasks that your Bastion can perform, depending on what rank it is. A rank is it works on half casting scale. 1, 5, 9, 13, 17th level is approximately where you come in at. But you can acquire ranks faster than levels, just like characters in Ravnica or characters in Theros. In Ravnica, you can accumulate renown, typically like 2 or 3 points per level. And Theros, you can accumulate piety, which is also basically every 2 or 3 points per level. And the new DMG basically says, you can equate like like first level to first level, like it's basically 1, 5, 9, 13, 17. Not exactly. It's a little off, but that's essentially what they're saying is you can just automatically gain these higher ranks or higher tiers of renown, piety, or in this case, Bastion facilities can automatically rank up with you as you gain levels, or you can accumulate resources. So a first rank Bastion has at least one resource, and it scales up by the size of footprints in D&D. So it goes from medium size to large size to huge size to gargantuan size to colossal plus size. Colossal size is basically like Spelljammer ships that can get up to 500 feet in size. But this is scaling resources, and as your guild, as your Bastion gains ranks, the value of each resource increases. So you can just purchase resources through gold that you acquire in adventures. Thus, we have a massive gold sink. Like at a 5th rank, that's like effectively 17th level character access. It costs 1 million gold to gain a resource. So while 4th rank, they're only worth 100,000 each. So by the time you go from 16 to 24, you've accumulated 800,000 gold worth of resources, and then when you click over that 25th resource, now they're each worth 1 million instead of 100,000 each. And if you lose resources, the actual value of your entire Bastion downgrades with it. So you can gain and lose resources like you can gain and lose hit dice or hit points or mana or like degrees of exhaustion. These are things that you can stack onto the characters. The die roll is your proficiency die. So instead of having an ability score associated with the different type of orders or orders that you can issue or aspects of your Bastion, instead of having that expressed as a ability score, instead you have, like when you make an ability check, you have the D20 plus an ability score plus your proficiency modifier plus potential other like advantage or maybe a static bonus. So you take your rank 1 to 5, which plays the role of the ability score. And then the die, that's a proficiency die from the 2014 variant rules from the DMG. Or if you're familiar with Renegade Games, it does My Little Pony, G.I. Joe, Power Rangers, and Transformers, the Essence 20 system uses the proficiency die as their core mechanic. And they go really deep in like scaling up and down and rolling multiple dice at the same time and keeping the best results and stuff like that. There's a lot of ways they chop it, but we just go very basic, just as provided in the DMG 2014, where add your rank, roll the die, add it to the roll of your D20, and that's going to be the result of your Bastion's ability check, the order, the Bastion check you make when you issue an order to your Bastion to perform. The amount of orders that a Bastion can perform at once is listed here, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Strong, well-funded organizations can afford to purchase additional orders by investing some of their resources to become more productive. They're investing resources to be able to create additional orders. You can also issue the same order multiple times to give yourself multiple dice to roll, keeping the best result as a sort of like super advantage. So you're still staying within curve of what your guild can do, your Bastion can do, but you can invest additional resources to spend multiple dice to help make sure that this die is going to be as high as possible, along with being able to roll advantage on the D20 occasionally. And here's some examples of different type of different organizations, settlements, and businesses that you might see represented at the different ranks. So like the House Cannith in Eberron, that's a 5th rank organization because it's literally thousands upon thousands of people working in House Cannith, many of which, only some of which have dragon marks, the vast majority of which don't. Hold on real quick. I think I just heard something weird. I'll be right back. All right, we're back. So, complications. If you fail the die roll, something prevents you from being able to succeed the task that you had issued to the order that you had issued to your Bastion. Something prevents you from succeeding at that task. So then you get a complication, which is a call to adventure that you could either just relegate to your guild as its own order, go perform this task, and if you're out of orders, then you can't do anything. Or your characters then your characters may need to get involved directly to resolve that, whatever that issue is. So there's a couple things that we want to make sure. There's a few things we want to do today. Here's all the mechanics for issuing orders. And again, this document is available. It's still very rough, but you can read the entire thing here. So what we want to get into is we have specific orders, which is crafting, empowering, and harvesting. Is basically the three ways to craft things. There's crafting, empowering, and harvesting. Crafting is like making objects, like non-consumable, typically permanent objects that your team can use in adventuring or can aid your Bastion. Empowering is making magic items or altering your characters, like gaining skills, feats, and stuff like that. And then harvesting is it's similar to crafting in that you're making things typically out of organic material, either animal or plants. Like poisons, potions are often in the harvesting, are listed as harvesting in the DMG. Healing potions, we already talked about potions. Food stuff like rations or like wine, ale, exotic beverages, whatever. Those are all considered harvesting. So we have these. So this might be the right place to put that. So we have creating. We have how am I going to word it? Crafting, empowering, and harvesting is all, creating. An act of creation. We'll start there. We'll have craft and empower and harvest. Bastions can create magical and non-magical items. Bastions can be issued orders to create magical and non-magical items for characters to use while adventuring. This is I'm just going to speak very plainly here, so this isn't going to be the final language, but basically this is different from creating items to sell for profit. That is resolved through maintaining a lifestyle for your Bastion as detailed below. The only time the Bastion can't stockpile or mass produce any items. No, here, let's do it this way. While the Bastion can potentially stockpile or mass produce any type of item, given enough time and resources, While the Bastion can potentially stockpile or mass produce any type of item given enough time and resources, Dungeons and Dragons is not intended to simulate. I've got a thing happening here. I'm sorry. Hold on real quick. All right. Hey, guys. Sorry about that. So I got a call from Virginia. They claimed to be the patent office. They were going over application numbers and stuff. They wanted payment over the phone. It was probably going to be okay. But I didn't want to make a payment over the phone. They knew absolutely everything about what I had going on, but I used a service to process my trademark paperwork. So when they reached out to me, they were using the email address associated with that trademark service. So it made me concerned that they were attempting somebody had gotten access to my information, was trying to scam me as though they were the trademark office. So I told them, if this is a legitimate government operation, you should have a protocol in place to send me an email to process that information accordingly. And so they complied after arguing with me for a moment about it. They pushed back saying, we're doing a phone verification. This is what we're trying to do. So at the end of that, they said, okay, we'll send you an email, and you go ahead and correspond with that. So I can then check. I will now be able to check and see, is that email legitimate? Where's it coming from? And I can use whatever actual trademark phone numbers I have from the actual government website to make sure I follow through. So I was excited. They had all the information. Something in my head said don't, so I didn't. Hopefully I'm not getting scammed, but we'll see how that lands. But yeah, that didn't give me any information. I just confirmed the information that they had. They didn't ask any personal information like my social security number or anything like that. They had all just the information that was on the application, so it was probably legit. But this is for the role-playing game that I was talking about earlier that I've been developing for Kickstarter. So when this process goes through, I'd be able to use my trademark immediately, and then I'd have a register I'd be able to put TM next to it, and then I'll eventually have a registration. But again, it felt fishy, so I threw the brakes on it, and I'm a little jazzed and also a little leery. So my energy's off a little bit right now. So forgive me. But that's what made me pull away. So you'll also be able to follow up directly with the organization like, hey, did you? Yeah, exactly. And if they said yes, then I'll be happy to throw them money. So it's like $500, and that feels reasonable for it. But I don't recall the trademark processing company saying, hey, you're going to get a phone call and they're going to ask for money from you. They never said anything like that. So I've already gotten one email saying, I got a letter in the mail that said $1,500 processing fee. But when I read the fine print, I was like, this doesn't have anything to do with your trademark. This is allowing us to register your trademark on our website for 5 years. And you're paying a $1,500 advance fee for us to have you listed as a business with a trademark. It's like, I don't know why I would fucking ever value that. So, but it said, this is not required. So I threw that away. So there's this may have been a similar service that was somehow using weird language that I didn't understand, that would have, caboodled me into thinking something was happening that wasn't actually happening. So anyway, that's the process. So, but this is, hey Omni, this is me messing around with the trademark offices of America, and we'll see how everything goes. So I didn't expect to get a response this quickly, so that felt a little weird too. Now my hackles are up. Forgive me there. I'm gonna take a sip, because coffee is gonna help, right? But yeah, I'd rather go slow and steady and be confident of every step instead of rushing in because I'm excited. So rushing out of excitement has never ever helped me in any way on any plane of life. Here's the thing. He died in 29. Oh, God, that's horrible. Oh, God, yeah. So, yeah, Anyway, word to the wise. I've never dealt with trademarks before. There you go. So where were we? While the Bastion can potentially stockpile or mass produce any type of item given enough time and resources, Dungeons & Dragons is not intended to simulate economies. World economies. So anything that can be produced by the Bastion is assumed. So anything that can be produced by the Bastion is simply, again, I'm just using muddy language right now, is simply narrative for how the Bastion maintains the lifestyle for the characters and hirelings that are part of the Bastion. Something like that. Let's see. Three of the orders that can be issued to the Bastion create items. The rank of the Bastion determines the maximum value in gold or rarity, or in the case of magic items, the rarity of item created. The rank of the Bastion determines the maximum value of gold, or in the case of magic items, the rarity of item created, as listed below. Additional comments included as needed. And that's like horrible English. Fuck off. So we'll go with rank, and then craft, empower, harvest. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Because we had gone. And you know what? I feel like I should open up a second instance of this document. So we had some time on Sunday, and first rank equals magical armaments. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Stable first rank, maintain trade horses. Storehouse, that's the rarity, DC, duration, community. Storehouse is the materials warehouse that we already have under listed down here in the facilities. Oh yeah, we still have a few things to go, don't we? Trophy room, war room. I thought I finished all these, but apparently not. So we still have just a little bit of stuff to pick at. Let's see, we have the smithy here was making stuff, so we have rank, and power, magic armaments. Rank is common items. Again, just the same scaffold that we use for everything else. Uncommon, rare, very rare, legendary, uh, 100, 400, 4,000, 40K, 200K. Duration. Week, season, year. And some items can be done more quickly than a week, but this is just the default for any typical common magic item. But like we know we can brew a minor healing potion in a day, for instance. But this is just the basic table. The stables only had maintained trade horses. What was I doing? Why was I down here? Why was I chasing this? I'm sure I had a good reason. Facilities. Yeah, facilities are further down here. Yeah, I think I want to go through. I think I should go through the rest of these. Oh, that's where we're at. Okay, I see where we're at here. Theater, first rank in power. You can let's shift back a gear, and start working on this. Let's see, smithy. Craft options, we can craft, order, facility, choose one of the following. Crafting smith's tools, you can craft anything that are with smith's tools. We all know those are 100 gold or less, so those are all common items, which any, like a first rank or higher rank guild can, Bastion can produce if they have, if they have the facilities to do so. Craft magic item, armaments, and you can make armaments. So let's go to smithy. They make first rank in power equals create armaments and armor. And that's all the smithy does. So stables, that's easy. So stables, we're looking at a Bastion can have a camel. We should look up the cost of camel and ponies and mules. So let's look those up. Let's see. We want to go for what? Services, perhaps? Camel. There we go. What you got? Camel, ponies, and mules. Riding horse. Pony, 30 gold. Mule, 8 gold. Riding horse, 75 gold. Camel, 50 gold. This is compliant. Main trade horses. It's going to be riding horse, pony, mule. What else? Riding horse, camel, pony, mule. Adventuring animal. What am I trying to say? Horses maintain trade horses. Second rank maintain trade. Equals let's call it horse swapping. I don't know what else to call it right now because they don't lay it out quite the same way. So equals horse swapping 2. Second rank horse swapping will include anything up to 400 gold. So that would be a war horse and an elephant. Anything else that we get out of the stables? I love doing this stuff. I like breaking it down. I don't like that they don't show us what they're doing to calculate or make decisions on stuff. What I do like is that they are. It's so easy that it actually falls within that price point scaffolding that they have for magic items, that the mundane stuff that you can build fits inside that scaffold as well. I'm really happy about that. What else do you do with the stables? After a beast can be served as a mount, spends at least 14 days in the facility. Oh, neat. I would say that would be an empower. First plus empower equals. Let's see. Animal training equals gain advantage on wisdom, handle animal checks for gain advantage on wisdom, animal handling checks. Let's do it. Let's do it like this. Horse trading. And first rank plus equals horses and other work animals, something like that. Rank beasts. When I finished streaming today, I had set the task to myself to make notable progress in the Eberron adventure that I've been doing layouts for, and I succeeded at that task. I've just about finished 2 pages at the front end of part 2, so by tonight I should be inside the graveyard picking at that. I might actually start at the gatehouse in region C and work my way forward from C to A, because we have to modify one of the optional encounters in the cemetery, which is going to be a heavier lift than I think I want to handle. I want to have quick victories so I can feel like I'm moving forward with the document and push off the heavy stuff to procrastinate it to another day. And so I have that vibe. So I'm going to get done with these first couple pages about laying out the manifest zone, and then there's the 3 regions inside the manifest zone: cemetery, flooded fort, gatehouse. So I'm going to put the gatehouse at the end of that. And I'll do the gatehouse first because it's the shortest, and then the flooded fort, which is the second shortest, and then the cemetery takes up the most. So I can reverse that up, and then once we're working inside the cemetery, I'll work from the front end of the cemetery to the back, and at the back end, because you have the wandering encounters, you have the prepared encounters, and then you have optional encounters. So, and inside each region, you can also have alternate wandering, like the manifest zone itself has wandering encounters and optional encounters. But the prepared encounters are the 3 regions in it. So we don't detail those. We just provide the wandering and the optional encounters up front so that you can see like why you're going from region to region inside the manifest zone. You're running into different stuff. You know what that stuff is that you can run into up front so you can prepare for it. But then as you get to each region, you have the wandering encounters, the prepared encounters inside the cemetery, and at the back end of it, the optional encounters that you may or may not choose to introduce into the adventure that they're exploring. We have that for the cemetery, the flooded fort, and the gatehouse. And once those are done, we'll be done with part 2, and then we'll drop underground into the research facility, which is what part 3 is, just the Nexus. So we'll build that out, and that'll be a lot of fun too. So we're making progress, we're moving along, and again, almost all the pages that we're using in the adventure, like the majority of artwork that we need to do in part 1, 2, and 3, like a good 75, maybe 70 pages out of the 104 total pages. The only things that we actually need are tokens and maps that we've already built. So there's a ton of the pages already done. I'm really excited. Anyway, I was just holding myself accountable because I said I would do that, and I wanted to prove that it had been done. Checks for the rank of the Bastion, detailed below. I'm feeling more and more nervous about I told them my actual email address. They listed off the email address that the organization had purchased for it. When I purchased the services of the trademark processing company, they set up a dummy email address for me, and I should have stuck with that. I gave him a legitimate email address, so I might have to burn that one and start something over. Well, we'll see. God willing, it's all on the up and up, and I'm just being paranoid. He didn't push back that much to me. What he did was like, no, this is legitimate. We're going to send you an email and all that stuff. It's like, well, that's what a scammer would say. It's like, okay. And it's like, tell you what, send me an email. I'll verify it all. And if I have to call back, I have to call back. He says, okay, we'll send you an email. And then he let me go. That was a big confidence booster that he didn't go for a third or fourth ask. He didn't risk that like this would destroy my application. He didn't threaten me or anything like that. So it probably was legit, and I'm being paranoid. But he probably deals with that. He probably is like, God, another one of these guys. Purchase, sell animals or other work animals as the for the rank of the Bastion listed below. There. So if I have a second rank Bastion, I can trade and train elephants and war horses. If I'm only first rank, I can just do horses, ponies, and mules and camels, etc. So the Bastion listed below. There. So that I think that resolves all of the stables. I can sell them, enlarging the facility. That doesn't matter to me. So here it is. When you sell them out, like let's say a riding horse is 75 gold, right? So when you sell them out from your stable, the buyer pays you 20% more than the standard price. So that would have been an extra 20 gold, roughly 18. The profit increases to 50% when you reach 13th level and 100% when you reach level 17. So 75 gold per horse at 17th level is inconsequential, but the fact is that just trading horses produces in time a huge profit for your organization. This is supposed to be a gold sink, something to do with your money, but most of the things that they offer inside of this document either give you free magic items or give you more money. And it doesn't cost you anything at the front end. It's just something they should have, in my opinion, obviously that's why I did this, that's why we created the lifestyle, so that you wouldn't have to worry about extracting gold from it. You can extract gold, but you can get gold, but you have to sell one of your resources to get it. You can't, because all the activity that you're performing with the organization is to keep the Bastion operating, and then they put a little portion of it to the side for the adventurers to be able to make use of it. It's like, yeah, we have our greenhouse up and running. We're using it to buy. We're using it to trade and generate income for the Bastion by selling either the components needed to create or just creating ourselves antitoxins and healing potions. And there's no shortage of people that want those things in an adventuring world with monsters. So they're just going out the door, and we're maintaining a comfortable lifestyle as a result of it. How many potions do you have right now? Well, if you need some, we do keep a pocket to the side, and then you make your die roll to see how many potions they have on hand for you right now. But you have to issue an order, save me some potions. So when you have them save me some potions, that's when you make your die roll, and they will say, this is how many potions we were able to save for you. At the end of this week, you can take all those potions with you. Or, since our facilities can create them, if you have the gold, you can just throw gold at it. The Bastion eats that gold, and now you get your potions because you become your own merchant shop. So if you have a smithy shop set up, you can buy a sword. If you have a sacristy set up, then you can get holy water. You know, these are things you can just generate because you have the facilities set up to do that. It's an order that you issue to your Bastion. So, or you don't have to order it. It's just part of, they always have them on hand as part of maintaining the Bastion, creating income for the Bastion. In this instance, you're directly bringing gold from the dungeon to your Bastion to dump into the Bastion, not to buy a resource, though if it's enough, you could. Instead, you're just dumping gold into it and then getting the stuff that your guild can automatically create, because you become the general store that you buy from yourself to get the access to the resources, to get access to the items that you want. Hopefully that makes sense. If it doesn't, let me know, and I'll try to say it all again 5 times for you. But so far, stables look good. I like this. I think it's we don't necessarily need to have 5 ranks, though. Like, for example, if we were playing in Ravnica, rank 3 for the Wojaks, this would be like where they get their what is it, Skydrake. This is where a Skydrake would come in. Am I right about that? I don't have. Hold on. Let's see. Is the subclasses? I don't have it listed here. Playtest document, full place. Yeah, I don't have it here. I'm not going to go fishing around looking for it. But I'm pretty sure in the Martial Powers document where we have the updated MTG backgrounds, I'm pretty sure Wojak came in at 3rd rank. So I think that lines up. But those are just flying animals, like griffins, for instance. But I think we would maybe see that. We did the menagerie already. So let's go back up to the menagerie. And where's my menagerie? Wait, is it called something other than that? It might be called something other than that. Hold on, let's see what it's actually called. Well, fucking, there it is. Menagerie. Why don't I have... Did I already deconstruct menagerie and put it down into the mix? I think I did. Hold on, let's go down to... I think that's recruiting. Franchise, governorship, specialist retainers, standing army. There you go. Specialist retainers. Specialists rank or monsters CR. 1, 5, 9, 13. And then, do you see the pattern there? Up to CR1, up to CR5, up to CR9, up to CR13, 14 plus. It's the same pattern over and over again. We use this in the Spelljammer book as well for different ranks of teams to have higher bonuses when they attack with siege weapons. Exact same thing. Indefinitely. There. But these are for intelligent animals. So what we want to do is beasts and unintelligent creatures. Yeah, that's why we don't have menagerie listed here, because it got subsumed already. Our goal here is to take all these things I'm building out here and melt them into, like, this is just work in progress facilities, right? I want to take all these different things and then extract from what they do, drop them into craft and power, harvest, and then specific facilities that do special stuff. So this is not the end of me messing with these. This is just me scaffolding what these things are so I can see the build patterns of how they work. So Smithy, Skydrake, beasts. Let's see. CR. Up to 1. Up to 5. Up to 9. Up to 13. I had that in there real quick. Now I don't know what this would be. Yeah, I have no idea. No idea. But I think Tyrannosaurus is just is CR8, so it falls inside this. Skydrake I think is CR7. Well, now I'm curious. Pull it back up. Let's go with Tyran. Yeah, CR8. Let's go to the all sources. And creatures. All right, we should probably go to. Let's go to the actual backgrounds. We'll find Wojak there. That'll be probably more efficient. I miss Ideals, Bonds, Flaws. I miss those. I did like that in 2014. I don't think they needed to restructure races and backgrounds the way that they did, but they did. So I mean, it's kind of it's like 6 or a half dozen, but I just missed the Ideals, Bonds, and stuff like that. I thought those were really cool. Where does Wojak come in? Skyjack. There we go. Skyjack. More. Skyjack. Oh, it's only a CR2. Skyjack Rock. That's the word I was looking for. But hey, we got it resolved. So there. Comma something. I don't know if it goes this high or not. Hold on. LeFou, I'm afraid I've been thinking. It's a dangerous pastime, I know. But Spelljammer has Kandori. And their hit dice status is unknown. We want to go to Boo's Menagerie. Let's see. What does it take for us to get a Kandari? CR7. Spelljammer confirmed. What about Scavers? Where do those come in at? Let's go to the right document. I'm just gonna pluck some beasts from here real quick, I think. Oh my god, a Megapede. Where do you clock in at, buddy? CR11? That's hilarious. See, they have animal level intelligence. What else? Space hamster. Oh my god, what a must. I love this. So cheeky. Scavers, I think, are going to come in at second rank. CR4. CR 1/4. Gray Scavers are low. Night Scavers, CR 5. Void Scavers, CR 11. That's high. Yeah, the dumb ones can be trained. Void Scaver 11, huh? Cool. I just think that's fun. Night Scaver is 2. Gray Scaver is 1/4. Brown Scaver is 4. Brown and Night Scaver. No, come on, Kearney. Brown and Night. There. Anything else I want to fetch? That was pretty fun. I'm pretty happy with those. Any other gotta have habits? Ooh, Space Wine. CR 1/4. There. There. That's plenty. That's plenty for the stables. Storehouse. Okay, let's go back down to the next bit. Smithy, stable, storehouse. A storehouse is a cool, dark space meant to contain trade goods, objects from the trade goods, and from Chapter 6 of the Player's Handbook, trade goods equals trade action, goods. When you issue the trade order to this facility, its hirelings spend the next 7 days. When do we get this? Level 5? Okay. Next 7 days procuring non-magical items that have a total value of 500 gold pieces or less. And store them in the storehouse, or the hirelings use those 7 days to sell goods in the storehouse. You bear the total cost of any purchases, and the maximum value of the items purchased increases to 2,000 gold when you hit 3rd, 5,000 at 4th. Okay, that doesn't quite line up. It'd be 100, 400, 4,000, and then 40,000, so that's off. When you sell goods with your storehouse, the buyer pays you 10% more than the standard price. The profit increases to 20%. So basically, you gain 5,000 gold, and you get 10,000 gold back. So again, this by 17th level, this just generates 5,000 gold every 7 days for you. So over the course of a year, it generates 250,000 gold. That could be spent to purchase a legendary magic item. The legendary magic item requires 200,000 gold to create. I think normally that would be divide by 10. It'd be 10,000. It'd be 20,000 days to make a legendary magic item. But with the storehouse system that they're laying out here, it says that you can acquire 200,000 gold worth materials at 17th level inside of a year. So 52 weeks times 5,000 gold per week equals 250,000 gold. That is well within the window of being able to take a year to procure a legendary magic item as a 17th level character. It takes you a year to do that. So sure, we can have our guild create a legendary magic item inside of 1 year, thus setting the pace that you should be able to create goods at highest rank, worst case scenario, 250,000 gold worth materials per year. So that's really setting a tempo, and that is the structure that we already have in the system. I hadn't mapped it out before. We just looked at it. Makes sense to me. That's exactly how it does. So storehouse, first rank, acquire gear, rarity, DC, duration, community, common, DC 10. This is first rate trader. Acquire. This is acquire adventuring stuff. Yeah, we'll just do it that way. And this is this COMM. This is referring to the size of the community that the storehouse has to be in to be able to perform the trade to get the thing that you want. So that's common, uncommon, rare, very rare, legendary. So we have rarity, and again, it's the same table over and over and over again, just slightly modified depending on what it is that we're dealing with. So the DMs, when they're reading this document, should pretty quickly get the vibe of like how this stuff works. So like I want it to be intuitive to the point where like, oh yeah, of course that's how it is. Like I want you to be, ideally you'll be able to complete the sentence of whatever this is trying to go on about before you get there. It's like, oh yeah, I know how this works. It works like this. And then when it does, that's great. Community. Community. Village. Ooh, wait. Right. To acquire a magic item, you can't acquire a magic item from a hamlet. Like a dozen farmhouses. They're not going to have the resources to make common magic items. So you have to be in at least a town. Oh, sorry. Village. There is a hamlet. And since they call them settlements now in 5th edition, a hamlet is the smallest size. So you have hamlet, village, town, city, metropolis. Sorry. Village, town. Oh, wait. Village. No, it's village, town, city. 1, 2, 3, 4. Uchi. Here's the thing. Sure they will. I don't know what we're talking about. First town. Well, that's essentially what a village is. Here, hold on. I will show you. Settlements: hamlet, village, town, city, metropolis. Maximum population: hamlet can have up to 100, up to 1,000, up to 10,000, 100,000, or more than 100,000. The amount of resources that are in that settlement, same as the Bastion system up above. A Bastion can be a company or a guild inside of somebody else's settlement. It could be a building inside of somebody else's settlement, or it can be its own settlement, or it can be a free-floating organ, like a boat. Like your pirate, like they say, the pirate boat is what people are kind of like geeking out over, like spelljamming ships being your Bastion. That's a standalone structure that can house your Bastion. But you could also have a network of spies in Waterdeep that have a shitload of little flop houses and hideouts, but no like formal spy guild central. It's all fragmented like Dimir. So it's just a bunch of temporary structures, and the entire organization stays in the head. So everyone can move around and be fluid about their location so they don't get caught. Or you could have a tavern where you want to make sure everyone knows that you're at the front of the gates. I'm going to be the first tavern that you see. Stop in for a drink after the road. That's a location that you're going to want inside of somebody else's settlement. Or you can create your own settlement. So there is franchise. There's the Bastion, and then there's franchising, and then there is governorship, and then there is settlements, and those are detailed in the 5th facilities section. You have the task, you have the orders that you can issue, and then you have facilities that you can reserve, like tap, basically maintain concentration or sustain resources to maintain facilities that are ongoing effects that don't require die rolls or can create new opportunities for die rolls. And so if you establish a settlement, or if you're in a settlement, these are the different ranks or sizes of settlements: the maximum population, the minimum amount of resources that settlement has to be able to establish its size, and the maximum space that the settlement might occupy. Like if you have a population of 100 people, then that's probably going to be like 6 or 7 people per farm homestead. So that's probably going to be like 8 or 9 homesteads. So having a 2-mile area that these different homesteads work together as a collective or as a commune, that's fairly reasonable. This would be the radius. It should be area radius. So a 2-mile by 2-mile space, that'd be a total of a 4-mile diameter region. That's pretty good for a hamlet. A village having basically a 20-mile footprint for all the different farms and stuff. There you go. And then 100-mile diameter for a city, and then like Waterdeep sprawls like 200 miles away from the castle. There's still villages, there's still these distant hamlets that are farming corn, that are shipping portions of their corn and livestock back to Waterdeep. And it takes like 2, 3, 4 days to get there from these flung outreaches that are practically halfway to the capital of Cormyr. But that's how it works. So I use the AD&D numbers. Fair enough. You can't go wrong. I'm just doing this for easy structuring. Like, it's easy to wrap your head around that. The DMG uses weird numbers too, but I'm pretty hooked on these. I could do like 100, 400, 40,000, 200,000, more than 200,000. No, it'd be 100, 400, 4,000, 40,000, and then 200,000 plus. This felt, I don't know. I'm feeling the tenfold multiplier here, and then the maximum amount of the type of magical item or consumable item rarity you should be able to expect to find in that community. You're unlikely to find permanent magic items in a hamlet, and if you do, they're certainly not for sale. Maybe you can find a healing potion, like an antitoxin or something like that. That'd be reasonable. Common, uncommon, rare, very rare, and then anything up to legendary in a metropolis. So is that jiving? Week, season, year. Week. Let's make sure I had that. Week, season, year. That feels more true. Week, season, year. I think that feels better. So let's make that switch. Week, season. I need to make sure it's consistent. So let's tool our way all the way up through the document, looking for any of those inconsistencies. Week, season, year. Season, year. Season, year. Lifestyle, modest, comfortable, wealthy, aristocratic. Modest, having a weekly frequency check. That doesn't feel right. It should be longer than that. Yeah, so that's good. We did that right. Village, town, city. Acquire adventuring stuff. Village, town, city. Yeah, you're acquiring stuff. I'm okay with that. Village, town. No, Week, season, year. Week, season, year. Good. Week, season. I just want that consistent across the ranks, so you have a good, because you like, and in the old Beckme, you would actually shift the scale of time in your campaign, because it would take, like, to get from like 16th to 17th level, that's 17 weeks of downtime. So like your character's grounded. Week, season, year. Week, season, year. Good. Week, season, year. Powering scrolls, day, week, season. That feels good. Week, season, year. Yeah, we still measure things by the week. Rarely are you able to measure things by the day. Like, you would purchase things from your own organization on a daily basis if you have the gold to infuse into it, and the guild is, and the Bastion is large enough to be able to handle the transaction. And that brings us back to dope. Cool. Week, season, year. Cool. Smithy is stabilized. Week. I feel like that should be a season. Goodbye, Swan. Hey, what's up? Right now, I'm in an OSE game based on a campaign the DM created for Beckme. We had a downtime of 9 months, and people leveled up twice due to good decisions. Beckme and Wilson. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about, Uchi. You know exactly what I'm talking about. That old style of play. There was just like, they really just covered, like it's like simulation. It's clunkier than 5e, but it's really simulation light. Like that, throwing away gold to convert into XP and downtime to gain levels, that really just covers, like, it just covers so much ground for like the narrative of your campaign to be able to make these things flow smoothly. I love that. Week, season, year. Because it feels like, should I be able to train a horse in a week? I'm trying to think. No, yeah, you can break a horse in a week. Okay, let's do it. Week, season, year. Week, season, year. I was just thinking about being at the ranch. I grew up on a ranch. I slung hay and scooped shit most of my childhood. Multiple adventure groups, yeah. Oh, no shit. Real Westmarch style. That's fantastic, man. Well done. Cheers to that. That's fantastic. Week, season, year. Okay, so stables are good. Week, season, year. Village, town, city. Okay, so we're done. First trade, acquire adventuring stuff. You can find any mundane items. You can find any magical lore. You can locate any magical or non-magical items for your adventuring items to use in your adventure. The time required is dependent on the cost of item, the duration, and community, and each rarity indicates the duration of time to locate the item and the minimum size of settlement to look. I like the word community better, but FML. Acquire adventuring stuff. Also, facility can sustain materials for crafting, empowering, harvesting. There you go. So you can issue the order to perform trade to find a specific object that perhaps you can't create within the time frame listed, assuming you have access to a settlement of the listed size. You can also use storehouses to establish and sustain a trade with another settlement. It's like I don't have an iron forge, and I don't have a refinery and a smelter. So since I don't have access to my own iron supply, I need to establish mineral resources so that I can craft armor and weapons for my army. So I would then use my storehouse to first make the ability check to establish a rank needed, whatever rank of materials needed to create the items that I want. And here we have in craft for armory and smithy, the crafting tools of war. So if all I want to do is create simple weapons, light armor, shields, then all I need is a week to do that. But I do need to have required materials, trade tools, materials, mineral, animal, and plants. Plant for cotton, for lining, or linen for lining armor. Animal for the leather and straps, and then mineral for buckles and actual armor hard points, as well as chain and stuff like that. So those are the materials that we need to have access to be able to create these things. But let's say I want to make firearms for, like, say, an adventuring monk that's using bonus action really efficiently. Then we would need to be a third rank. We would have to have a DC of 20, and we would need a season of work. And now I could have my first rank. My first rank Bastion with a smithy create a firearm, but it's going to require a DC 20, and if I don't, I'm going to have a complication with creating that item. So is my first rank guild that rolls a D20 plus 1D4, averaging a 14 on the result. Do I want to risk my first rank Bastion smithy trying to create firearms? Or should I be purchasing them from a third rank guild, a third rank Bastion or third rank settlement that has enough available to create something as complicated as firearms? And as my Bastion grows, once I get to third rank as a Bastion myself, for instance, it would be a D20 plus 3 plus a D8, which is going to average, the D8 is going to be a 5. The D20 is going to be a 10, plus 5 is 15, plus 3, that's going to be 18. It's not guaranteed on average, but it's far more likely. So that's good news. Not 100%, but getting better. So there's some risk. Again, there's risk and reward involved with these. The reward is you get the thing that you want when you want it. The risk is that you might fail the die roll and create a complication as a result of it. So, oh, did ya? Oh, right on. Cool. Horses here. So it was just a small property on the outskirts of St. Louis community, in a down towards a place called Eureka. Wasn't too far away from Times Beach. But yeah, we had a stable for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 horses, and we had 3 at one point ourselves, and then my sister went off to college, and I couldn't ride horses at all. I'm too blind. Horses need whoever's piloting them. The horse needs to trust that the pilot knows what they're doing, so that the horse can turn off its brain and trust the orders that it's receiving. But my vision is not good enough to order a horse. I need the horse to carry me to where I'm going, as though I were drunk and asleep. A horse can get me home, but I can't take a horse anywhere. So instead, we shifted gears and just went full on boarding. There's a lot of people that own horses around the Eureka area, so it was easy for us to board them. But yeah, I spent most of my childhood around horses, and it was a lot of fun. A lot of fun. There's nothing like growing up on farm, man. It's a different lifestyle. Miss it sometimes. I certainly enjoy having my time, but there's something to be said about just working with your hands or working with animals. It's very grounding. Very, very grounding, because it's just work that can't be, you can't outsmart the work. The work is the work. You got to get done. So there's honesty to that, and it's stable. So sorry, I'm going to stop talking about that. But storehouse, right, holding resources. And then we have down here in the facilities, we have oak craft and stuff. It should be up here. Hold on. Oh, yeah, storehouse. Starting at first rank, you maintain inventory of material gained from trade or harvesting to craft and empower items. The amount of resources required to maintain storage is equal to the maximum rank of craft, harvest, or empower order you issue. First rank, it requires 1 resource to sustain a storehouse, but you only have 1 type of material, which again is either animal, mineral, or vegetable. Second rank, it requires 2 resources to be held, and then you have 2 resources, both of which would be second rank. And then you have third rank, all 3 types of materials are stored at your place, all at third rank materials, and then 4th and 5th rank is just bragging rights. Now, while maintained, you always have sufficient materials needed to issue craft and empower or craft, harvest. This has evolved since we touched it. Craft, harvest, and empower orders, and the expended materials are automatically restocked at the beginning of each Bastion turn. So since you're investing resources to sustain a full storehouse, that storehouse, we don't have to worry about the nickels and dimes of what you got. It's like, no, by the time you've got a 4th rank guild, you got everything that you need, as long as you're only crafting like very rare magic items, or like airships cost 40,000 gold. You can pull that off with a 4th rank crafting facility, or smithing facility, or armor facility, or tinker shop, whatever it is that you need to be able to craft a thing. You automatically have the resources. You already have the materials needed to build the thing, and you have the crew and the tools to do it automatically, because you have proficiency in that crafting order, and you're sustaining this. So that gives you all the resources that you need to actually start building boats, for instance. Congratulations. And all we had to do was just assign a couple resources to different things that you wanted to, as like a sustained magical effect, as though you were a character buffing up spells on yourself. Same sort of thing. And then with whatever points you have left over after you sustain all your facilities, whatever points are left over, you can then spend to gain dice to roll your ability checks. And if you don't have any resources left at all in your facility, because you've tied all of them up in facilities, but you still have, like, say, a 4th rank Bastion can still issue 5 orders every turn, which right now is considered a week. The default is a week. So a fourth rank bastion can be issued 5 orders per week. But if you've spent literally all 20 whatever points of resources on maintaining facilities, any order that you issue is just going to be a D20 plus 4. If you only have 1 point available for your fourth rank bastion, if you only invest 1 resource, you only get a D4 added to the result. If you invest 2 points into the order, then you can roll a D8. If I invested 4 points into the order, I could roll a D10, or I could roll 2 6-sided dice, or I could roll 4 4-sided dice. I'm highly likely to end up with a 3 or 4 here. I'm probably going to get a 3 or 4 here, and there's no telling what I'm going to get on that D10. So depending on how many resources you have available, you have these many orders to issue, and it's up to you to decide how many resources do you want to sock away for when you need to issue an order that requires an ability check. Like, for instance, if you have a complication, you might want to have resources on hand for you to be able to deal with whatever that complication is at its DC, which is going to be 10, 15, 20, 25, or 30, depending on what rank of task you're attempting to perform, and that task creates a complication. And so the complication will either equal the rank of the task of the order that you issued, or if your team decides to do it themselves, ideally, well, not ideally, depends if you're running BECME. If you're running BECME, a CR4 challenge, a rank 4 challenge is still going to be coming at a team, even if they're first level, and they're just going to get obliterated. Or it can be since they're first level characters, it could be a first rank complication or a first level adventure for those characters to go on. It just depends. There's a lot of merit in that, in those words, and that the rank automatically advances, gaining resources with the levels of your characters. So you're always the rank of complication is always matching the capabilities of the characters. But there's also a lot of fun to be said about creating, like, allowing yourself to outrank your bastion above your characters, and to basically risk what level, what rank of complication comes up. Maybe you're going to get overwhelmed by it. Maybe you're going to be okay. Your bastion might actually be able to resolve this easier on their own without your characters getting involved. Maybe your characters are what are needed. That's what we'll continue to develop here as Bastion campaigns. So let's keep at it. Let's see, where are we? Let's get back down here. These are facilities here, so let's push up. Training area. That was the next thing that we were looking at. No, theater. No, teleportation circle. There you go. T-port equals Bastion 9. Teleportation circle is a 5th level spell, so that tracks. So, but it comes in. Wait a second. Hold on. Yeah, 5th level spell. So, and yeah, this would be a 3rd rank in power. 3rd rank in power. Oof, that's some text. You have a teleportation circle that can teleport once per day. Anything else to it? Oh, spellcaster. Each time you issue a recruit order, somebody appears in your magic circle that's willing to help you. That already got subsumed into recruit specialists. Anything else? Nope. All right, quick and easy. Sweet. Theater. Looking back at this, it doesn't need to be 9th rank. You can. I know 7-year-olds that are writing plays. So I mean, you don't need to be 9th level. But here's the thing: you can be involved. There's a theater event. It takes 14 days, followed by 7 days. So after 21 days, Your character can be a composer or writer. Your character can be a conductor or director, or your character can be a performer. You're going to be tied up. The composer or writer gets out after 14 days, but the director and the performer are in for the full 21. And at the end of all that time, what do you get? You get a single Bardic Inspiration die that you can spend on to roll, add number D20 to a D20 test. So any D20 test that you take, which could be an ability check, attack roll, or saving throw. So you spend 21 days at your Bastion doing this play, and at the end of it, you get a Bardic Inspiration die. Fuck you. That's horrible. It's neat flavor, but doesn't it just lean into the idea that theater kids that play D&D don't like mechanics? They just want to talk. This is like the most literal. This is like the most ludo-narrative expression of that I've ever seen. And yeah, I'm absolutely taking dig at the theater kids. So come at me, bros. First rank, you can compose performance, directive performance, roll, perform in performance. Participants gain an inspiration die for any 1d20 test. That is the technical rules that it provides. So I respect the process. It takes time to craft it. It takes time to practice it. It takes time to perform it. I don't know if that's necessarily how I want to express this. First rank in power. Equals inspiration. Gain inspiration die. Rank die. Participants gain an inspiration die for I'm thinking. What I'm thinking is you gain more. This kind of leans into the heist idea, where the more time you spend with your spy organization and researchers prepping for a specific task, the more dice you get to spend. So this would have it be like a single D4 per character. This would be 2 6-sided dice for each character. This would be 3 8-sided dice for each character. This would be 4 10-sided dice for each character. And at 17th level, 5 12-sided die for each character that you go out on your mission on. And you do all this prep work to get yourself built up to gain the stack of dice that everyone gets to use. So if we're talking like, I mean, here the framework right now is theater, but we're also, again, talking about spying and research to be able to know what you're talking about when you go and approach a dungeon. That's a really good reason for you to invest resources and gold sink from dungeons into your Bastion to be able to build that resource network for you to get heist-like information about whatever your next delve is going to be, so you get this stack of inspiration dice basically sitting on you. You know what? Maybe that's what we should do instead. Let's see. Theater. You can create a performance to praise the gods or whatever. Flavor text is optional. Instead of gaining, okay, I like the idea of gaining inspiration dice. We already have that working through the heist mission. First, we're going to empower equals gain inspiration for upcoming adventure. So instead, it's participants gain a number of inspiration points equal to the difficulty rolled. So instead of a die, let's see, DC points. 10, 15, 20, 25. I ran a campaign from level 1 to 20. This is one of the color magic system campaigns that I ran. The most recent one that ended in February. It went from level 1 to 20. It took 6 years. We ran color mana, and from level 16 to 20, we started playtesting the alpha version of Martial Powers, which has developed a lot. But in that campaign, what we had done was we had stacking inspiration points. So characters, anyone that showed up would get a point of inspiration. First person to show up would get a point. Anyone that had a journal entry and opinions or views or a narrative in character about events from the last session would get an inspiration point. And we used to do food, but then we stopped doing that online. So characters could get up to 3 inspiration points per session. And they had they could cap the number of inspiration points they could carry at once was equal to their proficiency bonus per character. That could be pooled and used by anyone at any time that everyone agreed to. They would spend, and I shit you not, 13 inspiration points to guarantee that they would hit to make sure they hit a saving throw that they had to hit. That campaign was a groundhog time loop campaign that whenever you die, you woke up at the beginning of the day, remembering what happened, and then trying to run events again. And so the way that we would narrate you looping these days was by stacking up these inspiration points, where you've ran this gauntlet so many times that you know when to duck, dodge, twist, and pause, which we represent by allowing you to blow stupid amounts of inspiration points that your days spent playing as players would rack up inspiration points that then directly translated into days that your characters are theoretically as downtime off screen, running through these days of probing and messing around with this particular death trap until you've stacked up enough inspiration points. It's I think we can get this. And then you make another run at it. And then if you do well, and ideally you'll have gained a level or two since you tried to take on this death house. So you'll have extra levels, which means more features, more hit points, better ability checks, better rolls potentially, and more inspiration dice racked up over time, so that you can, if I need a 26 on that trap and I've only got a +7 bonus, I've got 13 dice to throw. All I got to do is hit 19 once. Let's go. And that's how the team would play. They would know that they have a task that's coming up. It's that was really fucking difficult. We're going to get killed. Let's rack up some inspiration so that we can try attacking that again. All right. So while we do that, what's something else we can be spending time on in game for us to try to push the goal of, knowing that we'll have this background radiation going, that when we go to bed, we can run that gauntlet over and over and over again, and we'll just skip forward to all the inspiration accumulating to try to pop it and get past it as actual players. That's how the campaign was structured. Whether it was a death house trap, there'd be layers and layers of traps. That one would spring 2 more, that would spring another one, that would change something, that would hit them with anti-magic. They would have to, they would figure these things out. It's this is when we need inspiration here. So they'd run through the gauntlet and knock it out. And typically they wouldn't have to run through a trap set like that more than 3 times. And typically they would set it, if they can't beat it the first time, they'd prepare for it and give it another go. And if they can't hit it, they'd be paying attention to what their results were and how far they're missing things by. So we need to wait 3 levels to come back to this. So they would come back to it in 3 levels and then take it on, and they'd crush it. It's the entire campaign ran that way. It was fucking amazing. It was the best campaign I've ever been involved in. It just happened that I was the one that got to DM it. So it was amazing. I'll eventually build a campaign out of that. But I want the Bastion book built first so that you have more language about how to be able to run those kind of games. just in the lexicon of how 5e can work. So it's just bending time is just another example of how we can manipulate the toolbox of the 5e game engine to create different types of campaigns using mechanics that you're already familiar with, framing them in different ways to be able to make them have different mechanical benefits for you. So we're leaning into that idea as well. But having said all that, it is to say that I've had teams where at different times they'll have like 20 points of inspiration racked up and they will blow through all of it in a single session, trying to nail that thing that they've been chasing after. It's awesome because they always, that campaign was also players roll all dice. They made all the attack rolls. They made all the saving throws. If they were hitting somebody with a fireball, they would roll to cast, and that would set the DC. All the monsters had static dexterity saves and static constitution saves. So when I throw a spell at you, I would roll the die, and as long as I hit that target number or better, you failed your saving throw and take full damage. If they succeed this, if I don't hit their target DC, then they only take half damage from the fireball. So everything they rolled was on them. So they had literally the entire game engine for them to throw inspiration at any time that they wanted to guarantee they would nail that number that they needed. And sometimes they'd go in with 15 points and let's rock this. And then they'll roll a natural 20 right off the tap. And they're like, oh my God, that's awesome. And their victory to them was we were willing to risk all of this time and effort, and we didn't have to spend any of it to achieve our goal. And that felt just as good as them blowing through 10 points and finally getting the number that they needed. It was just as satisfying, but it was them being willing to risk their time, their conviction, and their resources towards that goal, whether they hit it or not. This is the best shot that they can possibly take. And they knew that if they failed it, they could just try again when they felt up to it again. Sometimes they feel butthurt about something and have to let it go for a little while, like that death house. But they eventually if they didn't find a way around it, they would eventually, we can't find our way around it. It looks like we're going to have to take it on, but it's been 6 levels. So it should be easy, right? Let's go for it. And it is easy. And they're like, okay, well, now we get to open up this whole portion of the Castlevania that we haven't been to yet. Let's go explore that space. Oh my God, there's so many answers here. So anyway, it was a really, really, really cool campaign. It was amazing. It was very, very unique, special. It was crazy, but I like this. So having said all that, I like the idea of handing out inspiration points instead of proficiency dice bonuses or inspiration dice. So D&D is kind of picky about not stockpiling it, and I question if they ever actually ran through a campaign that does stockpile it. Highly recommended. Amazing play. It really bonds the group together. Really, really does. It's super cool. So I am introducing that idea, and I'll probably have to build a whole sidebar walking through that process. So, because there's going to be hate. I know there's going to be hate. But yeah, the resulting performance, you can't hit a DC 30 as a first rank Bastion, because you're going to get a D20 plus 1 plus D4. The best you could possibly do is a 25. So maybe you can get 4 if you score perfect. You can get 4 points of inspiration, which would be amazing for a third level team to have that many resources available. Holy shit, worth your time. That's actually worth the risk and the reward that goes with it. Let's see. And then we should have duration. Duration of performance. Week. What? Week. Season. Do we want to go to a year on this? Taylor Swift World Tour. Sepultura Return. The last performance of Led Zeppelin. All of Europe and all of America taking a year to do so. Probably more time spent than necessary, but if you have the demi-plane, you could potentially reduce this down to a season. No, because you're performing out somewhere, you wouldn't be able to do that. If it was research, maybe. Yeah, no. Yeah. week, season. No, let's just do seasons. I want to break. I don't think Spain. I just want to. I don't want to do that. Let's just do a season. Let's just do that. For upcoming adventure or Bastion orders. There you go. Characters that participate gain number of inspiration points, gain a number of inspiration points equal to the difficulty rolled. Bastion gains yeah. During adventure, Bastion gains inspiration points to spend on orders issued, no duration. New performances replace any unspent inspiration points. There you go. How about that? That gives you a reason to do these things. Just you can have that just running as an operation on your guild, on your Bastion, and occasionally it'll just be injected with new inspiration points to spend, potentially on just another performance to just keep that inspiration pool rolling for you. I kind of like that. It's listed as theater here, but this really is an empowerment idea that could be applied to so much stuff more than just what the theater is doing. I may just destroy the idea of a theater because whatever. The mechanic doesn't seem to match the performance. Theater, that just feels like something. You're a theater troupe. You're maintaining your lifestyle by putting on performances. That's fine, because any task that we have here, any order that you issue, or any facility that exists can be used to explain how you sustain a lifestyle for your Bastion. It's the specific orders that you issue beyond that, or facilities that you sustain that are to your character's benefits, that you start thinking about the actual mechanics of what it is. So theater's not a horrible one. Training area. So let's get into that. Let's get into physical. We were looking at second rank empower equals gain class, gain feature, gain listed benefit for the rank of training facility sustained. Rank benefit. And we're going to start at second. Benefit is gain one skill, gain a skill chosen when sustained. Gain listed benefit for the rank of training facility for sustained. Number 2 is going to be weapon mastery, fighting style. Nope. That's going to go, let's go up. Weapon, armor, proficiencies. Third, we're already at 4th rank. Maybe it should be 1, and then 2, then 3, then 4, then 5. Maybe that does work. Gain a skill, weapon armor proficiency, skill expertise. And then we have feat, fighting style, weapon mastery. There we go. Saving throw, proficiency, choose one when sustained. Choose one when sustained. I know this is redundant. I'm sure there's a better way of wording the redundancies. So you can only acquire one, and this will be boon. Epic feat. While the facility is sustained, it provides the chosen benefit to each character that spends 1 week training. The benefit remains for as long as the choice is sustained. So I could spend a point to gain a proficiency. I could then spend 2 additional points as a separate sustained facility expertise in that skill. I could also gain a feat that modifies the skill that I gained expertise into, for instance, like Trap Springer or something like that. I could then gain a saving throw proficiency in, say, dexterity for my trapsmiths. And then I could have a boon, such as I can always roll a 10 or better, or as an epic feat, guarantee a 20 once per long rest when I make an ability check, for instance. So I could then spend 5 points, 4 points, 3 points, 2 points, 1 point, 3, 6. I can spend 15. I can invest 15 points at 5th level into just becoming a group of master trapsmiths. And once that heist is completed, we could dump all those facilities, free up all 15 of those points, and instead switch it to, I don't know, athletics, expertise in athletics, athletics feat, and then a constitution saving throw, and then a boon be I'm unaffected by, I can breathe water, and I'm not slowed when I swim. So now I have the ability to operate freely underwater with great speed. So I'm going to do an aquatic mission, for instance. So you could swap out your tool sets that way. As long as you have the points to invest, there's no limit on how many facilities you can have. There's a limit on how many tasks, how many orders you can issue at a time. But facilities don't issue orders. Maintaining a facility is just something you do with your points instead of issuing orders. There's generally there's no chance of failure, although we are considering requiring a turn to set up those facilities so that they're online for you to then sustain. Like, you spend the points. If you're successful with the roll, then you just keep those points reserved as success in what that task was, what that order was. And then it's just sustained as something that's always available. But if I gain a feat or a weapon mastery, whatever, while I sustain the training area, while I keep those 3 resources invested, I get to keep that on my character sheet. If I drop those resources, the feat falls off my character immediately as well. So that's the idea. Or if I wanted to spend 24 points, I could have every saving throw could be at proficiency for your entire team if they are willing to spend a week at the Bastion training up their saving throws. But 24 points, that's its own guild. Like, that's its own Bastion of 4th rank. The amount of resources that it would take to do that would literally be about 870, like about 900,000 gold to be able to build that swiftly. That's ridiculous amounts of money that you can sink into to get that, or you slow build it. It's like you would probably want to set this up gradually over time, and it'd be a hell of a thing to do for like a thieves guild. Like, if you joined a thieves guild and you invested resources, or like if you gained renown in that thieves guild, as you gain higher ranks of renown in the organization, you automatically acquire these options on your character sheets. Your characters that own the Bastion automatically get this because they have 1 billion renown with their own Bastion that they created or took control of. But if you're joining somebody else's Bastion, you need to have renown. And the level of renown that you've gained equals the rank that you achieve. And that rank corresponds with the benefits that you can get from training with that specific organization. So you can see how renown, piety, and the Bastion system fold together for you to be able to get things that your character might not otherwise be able to get. Equipment, sure, we already have that. But now, with this training system of empowerment, we can start tacking on class stuff. We could potentially, at 5th rank, even like get access to features from another subclass. Or like this could open the door to epic character advancement, to be gaining boons every 5,000 experience points or so, or whatever. So that's the idea there. So I like that. I don't see any problem with it. I've been running for quite some time. Like, if you go through a specific challenge, like it can grant your characters a free feat, or you get a free casting of a spell per day. Like, I'm not a big magic items guy at all. The Back Me Dungeon mega dungeon crawl we're doing for the martial power system is the first time I've been littering a map environment with just magic items, because gold equals XP. So magic items are a good way of getting a lot of gold into a character's hand for low effort that they then have to belabor. Do I keep that magic item or do we sell it off? So there's a shitload of health pots that the team has right now. And they're starting to accumulate a lot of mana pots, which are worth 50 a pop, right? So if they throw them away, that's 50 experience points they get for each potion that they throw away. So they need 1,800 experience points each, and there's 4 of them. So they need 6,400 experience points, which is 128 healing potions. And they have 19 of them right now. So like, you might drink all those potions if you step into a zone in that mega dungeon that's a higher level than you expected it to be. You might be chugging pots and chewing through your experience points because you're trying to stay alive to spin the gold in the first place. But normally, what I do is I create boons and create challenges that give you like extra spell access or a feat or a stat bonus instead of magic items. But that's just a flavor thing. It's all the same. It's just, how do you like to roll? And so it's fun. It's been a long time since I did a mega dungeon. So it's fun leaning back into magic items as the way for characters to make have risk rewards. How are we doing? 4:30? We're doing great. I had today off. I have tomorrow off too. So I get to do something similar to this tomorrow. I'm excited. We'll do a couple hours in the morning for Eberron. I'll take off time, get some Eberron pages done, catch up on housework, plug into work, push that dial a little bit, and then come back like at 2 o'clock and crack out another 3 or 4 hours worth of probably more Bastion stuff. Trophy room. Expert trainer. You can take damage from an attack. You gain proficiency in one of the following skills. Yeah, see? There you go. Skills. This comes in at 9th level, so 3rd rank is where they would put it at. Tools, you gain... Oh, yeah, proficiency in tools. Right. Weapon, armor, skill, expertise. Gain skill. Or tool prof. That's just a feat. That's just like brawler feat or unarmed attack, whatever. Weapon expert. Yeah, simple martial weapon. There you go. Empower training. When you issue the Empower order to facilities hirelings conduct training exercises 7 days. Any character that trains the area for at least 8 hours a day gains the benefit of the end of the period. The benefit depends on the training of the present facility. As noted, the expert training table, which is here. So we got that taken care of. Bastion. Trophy room. We're almost done. We're almost done with these. We'll get done with these today. And then we'll see about going through complications. And then tomorrow, when we come back to do this some more, we'll continue with complications and start doing the master table of craft and power and harvesting for the ranks to see like all the stuff that you can potentially build with that. It should be pretty simplified, but listing out examples is good. Trophy. Then we need to establish like facilities and tool resources to mix with the materials that you acquire to be able to craft the things. So that's the next step. But this is so much simpler than previous. Here, check this out. Is this the right one? Not squads and armies. Here, armies, squads, and there we go. Let's see. Crafting items. Let's get down to something a little more complicated than crafting items. Let's get into, guilds crafting items. Guilds can reduce the time taken to imbue items with magic at listed costs. Common, uncommon, rare, very rare, legendary. Days per invested rank. First rank, second rank, third rank, fourth rank, fifth rank. The number of days it takes to produce these things. This is a lot more complicated than the Bastion system. Like, this is where we left the system. It's very chart intensive and a lot of caveats and simulationism. That's what I tend to do. I tend to go like way off the fucking deep end on mechanical complexity and then try to parse back. People that are playtesting a martial power system are probably experiencing some of that right now. And that the system has got a lot of caveats and exceptions, like kicker effects and different types of disciplines that we're trying to get to a parallel point of complexity to spellcasting, but feel different. So it's like working different levers and dials, but we're looking for that same level of complexity. So we're looking at individual powers right now. It's like, is this overtuned or is it underrepresented? Does this feel bad if I try to use it, or is it an obvious pick-me? How do we need to balance it so that it hits the middle ground so it's just another good choice? Like, that's where we're at right now. And we've been parsing down, like, we were dealing with like differences between concentration versus not concentrating by locking or just concentrating on sustained effects. That was a level of complexity that was cool, but super fidgety. And 5e is very much not a fidgety sort of system. It tries not to be, though. It tries to be as binary on-off as possible, so you don't have to spin a bunch of dials and knobs. So that's what we've been taking all of this complexity. Like, we have a whole chapter on espionage and how you can perform surveillance of a location and reconnaissance of a location that doesn't have like a wilderness. Like, reconnaissance is like wilderness surveillance, while surveillance is like inside of a community reconnaissance. And then there's gathering information through social interactions. And then we have, as a part of espionage, we have stealing resources and sabotaging them. And then sabotage. So then we start talking about heists inside of stealing and sabotage. And then like robbery is a type of sabotage and stealing where you're taking resources from one organization and either selling them off, utilizing them, or integrating them into your bastion. And then there's seize and destroy, which is just flat out just destroying stuff like terrorism and bombs, and like destroying somebody's warehouse, for instance, or sinking a boat, for instance. Those would be seizing and destroying resources as a form of sabotage. And then we have another form of sabotage is ruining somebody's reputation by sowing rumors. And what that does is it attacks NPC's renown, or your renown. Like if you're Boros Legion in Ravnica and you've got like 36 points of renown, there could be like a Dabir smear campaign being waged against you that like every 10 days it takes away D6 points of renown from you in the Boros Guild. It's like, what the fuck is happening? So like to do that would be a second ranked task, and the difficulty with this system would have been a DC 13 to achieve that. So you can tear down people's renown as a resource. So even though you might have 30 years in astrophysics, if you get on the wrong side of a smear campaign on social media, you might find all of your renown evaporating, and suddenly you can't make those book deals like you used to be able to do. Now maybe you're being relegated to some smaller stuff, or like doing some small paper. Maybe you're finding another job in another industry because your reputation has been completely assassinated. So these are, and then there's restoring renown, how you can go on a repair campaign to like reinvent yourself, like Ellen is attempting to do. And then there's counter espionage, where you're sustaining basically protection wards to protect your reputation against foreign adversaries, or you have security that's guarding your warehouse. This is an intense level of depth for just a simple mechanic. So, but this is how far down the rabbit hole we parsed how you can use these different ideas. And this was 2 years ago, before the Bastion system existed. So you can check my playlist, the In Command playlist that's on my channel here. You'll see both the Bastion, like what is becoming the Bastion system, as well as the mass combat system that we had been developing that was used in Descent into Avernus, Tyrant, Dragon, was it Rise of the Dragon Tyrant? I can't remember the name of it. Rise of the Dragon Queen, was that it? I can't remember. And then of course, Spelljammer. Those are the three settings that we were working with the mass combat system that we had built out of this. But again, this is like this was built in 2023. This specific document was torn out. This one was back in 2022. And if I go to, let's go to the command system. Why is my hard drive's crying inside? Let's see, what's the oldest stuff that we had in here? Endless Days doesn't count. Summoning Revised doesn't count. This is In Command. Yeah, here we go. 2021 was when we actually started playing with these ideas. Let's see. Yeah, Balrog's Guide to Kingdom Building. Adam Hancock built that book, which is where the initial idea of ability checks came from. We started working with him back in 2021 on this stuff. Jesus. Yeah, Command. Here's the first draft of that stuff back in, yeah, October. Nope. Downtime Expanded. This is when we started playing with armies and guilds in 2021. Armies and squadrons. And then in 2022, we started incorporating the idea of guilds and kingdoms. Yeah, my shit has a long pipeline. Very, very long pipeline of development. But at the end of it, it's so far, the stuff I've been building has been pretty solid. It's like all this effort and detail gave me, at this point, enough knowledge base of how ability checks can work inside the 5e game engine to basically be able to build any kind of campaign I want out of it, and thus the trademark stuff that we're dealing with. So, trophy room. The room houses a collection of mementos and Dexter-like trophies, perhaps some gold earrings or little plates of bloodlet. Such as weapons from old battles, mounted heads of slain creatures, trinkets plucked from dungeons and ruins, and trophies passed down from ancestors. Research option. When you issue the research order to this facility, choose one of the following options. Research lore. You commission the facility's hirelings to research a topic of your choice. It can be a legend of any kind, creature, or famous object. Topic need not be directly related to items on display in the room, as the trophies provide clues to research a wide variety of other subjects. The work takes 7 days. When the research concludes, the hirelings obtain up to 3 accurate pieces of information about the topic that was previously unknown to you and share this knowledge. It's basically a commune spell or a legend lore. Trinket trophy. You commission the facility's hireling to search for a trinket that might be of use to you. The work takes 7 days. When the research concludes, roll a die. If the number rolled is odd, the hirelings find nothing useful. If the number rolled is even, the hirelings find a magic item. Roll on the implements common table in chapter 7. Oh, I don't think I've looked at that table yet. Let's look at it. Implements table. Armaments, implements. What else you got? There's a whole lot of implements going on. Implements is just random shit. It's the random shit table. Huh. Well, these are wondrous items, not implements. I had no idea we had so many common wondrous items. Question mark is worked into the hand of the key. The key has a 5% chance of unlocking any lock into which it's inserted. Once it unlocks something, the key disappears. Over direction, the orb can be used as an arcane focus. Cool. While holding the orb, you can take a magic action to determine which way is magnetic north. Nothing happens if the orb is used in a location that has no magnetic north. Negative. Orb of time. What time is it? Be used as an arcane focus. You can take a magic action to determine whether it's morning, afternoon, evening, or nighttime. This property functions only on the material plane. This stuff is fun. Cool. And about 1,000 pigs. Holy Hannah. Okay, that's you. You are much more farmly than I am. I will not attempt to compete with you at that level, but I still appreciate that we have the shared knowledge. We got that long gaze nod to each other. I like that. Yeah, my 5 horses to your 500 cow is just, I ain't nothing. So this is research and stuff. The trophy room is basically worthless. It's to first rank. No, it's third rank. Research equals legend, lore, monsters, items, people. First rank, trade. No, wait. We have a trade scale. It's second. That's basically, I don't need to scaffold this out because it's just research and trade. It's a redundant thing. It's not necessary. It's an example of flavor, but it doesn't provide more than what like a research facility would, like a research library would provide. It's just a research check. The legend, lore, commune, something. So let's skip past that and I just don't see any more value here. It's just a research check. So that gets subsumed into research in general, though we will be making reference to, in the DMG, these sort of tasks can be performed by, for instance, the trophy room. War room, 17th. Ooh, 5th rank facility. Not a lot of these rolling around. Yeah, we don't have prerequisites. If you can afford it, you can have it. We're trying to reduce, we're trying the resources themselves act as their own gateway. We don't need to have character prerequisites to build a fucking gambling hall. Can you afford some slot machines? Great, throw them in the corner. Let's get some news out. Recruiting order, hireling. The war room is where you plan military actions and consultation with an inner circle of loyal lieutenants, each one a battle-hardened veteran warrior. What is that, CR3? Woo! Look at that. That hyperlink doesn't work. Whose alignment matches yours? You start with 2 lieutenants and can add more, as described below. If your bastion lacks facilities to house your lieutenants, they secure accommodations in the inn or settlement closest to your bastion. Doesn't cost you any money, apparently. But this would fold into the lifestyle, maintaining a lifestyle for your bastion. This would be part of that. But they say here that lieutenants are hirelings, not bastion defendants. However, if your bastion is attacked, each lieutenant housed in your bastion reduces by 1 the number of dice you roll to determine how many bastion defenders are lost in the attack. So I think that's pretty nonsensical. We'll explain. Basically, depleting resources, like you saw above in the reputation attack. If your bastion is attacked and you don't want to actually commit to combat scenarios, what you would do is it'd just be opposed die rolls, and the discrepancy between your die results would be how many resources are lost in your facility. And if you're right on the edge, you could drop back down to a lower ranked facility until you're able to recover, which you could just do like a cash infusion, for instance, or go on an adventure to defeat whoever it was that attacked your bastion, and in doing so you recover the resource and create a pipeline to whatever resources and adventure hooks are available through that encounter, right? So I guess that has value unto itself. Recruits equals standing army, which we already have established. We also have Battle of Bastion equals opposed. Maybe it'd be a saving throw. Bastion test to thwart attack sabotage of Bastion. Save DC. Oh, here it is. Save DC minimum 15. If this fails, lose a number of resources equal your let's see, let's just go with lose 1d4 resources. Just there you go. Save DC variable equals attacking rival Bastion test difference between results. If you if you roll equal or above rolled rival results, no losses. If roll less, if fail, roll, lose, resources equal rank. Lose resources as listed below. Failed by lose lost resources. How do I want to do this? Failed by 1. What, lose 1 resource? Highly unlikely you're going to fail your roll by 25. This is probably going to require more testing, because the original system I had, you could have like up to 100 resources without much difficulty. You accumulate them a lot faster, and you spend them more, and like you burn through them more. So there's more levers and dials that you're pulling. But this system's a lot more simple, so I feel like you have to roll at least a 15. No, let's just do this. Lose 1 resource. And there you go. So you could lose D4 plus 1 or D10 plus 1. That could destroy your Bastion altogether, which is possible. I'm iffy if I still want to have that in this system or not. It's that could be pretty punishing. I like the idea of it. I'm gonna have to sit down and think about that. I know in the game that we're running where there's more resources coming in, they're like hit points. You lose them, you gain them. You lose them, you gain them. But the Bastion system is a much slower grind. So I'm iffy about that. Something is telling me I need to slow down there. So I'm just going to leave that set as it is for now. What else do we get? Lieutenant or soldiers? Well, we already have specialist. Recruit equals standing armory. We can't get them as early as first rank. That's true. All right, cool. That's good. I'm not 100% on this one. This will make it safer. This will make it easier. When resources are lost, they can't be spent on facilities or issuing orders. If the resources can't be recovered by the end of the next Bastion turn, they are permanently lost, potentially reducing the rank of the Bastion. There. That's very generous. They're kind of held in escrow. You can't use them. You haven't technically been reduced yet. So, like, if you lose 4 points in your third rank, and they're going to cost you, 30,000 gold to replace all of them. It's possible that your 11th level characters, if they're pacing alongside the rank of the Bastion, it's very possible for your 11th level characters to adventure and attain 30,000 gold worth of treasure. And if that's the case, then they can just go back to the Bastion and beck me disappear that XP, and their resources are restored, and then they're fine. You were attacked, you took the hit, you quickly recovered, and then you move along. That happened within, like, say, 2 weeks. And so it was such a fast turnover that your Bastion wasn't affected in the long term, as in you don't lose any resources. I would imagine losing resources or having your Bastion attacked and potentially taking resources from you at the end of it would be a highly compelling adventure hook for your characters to pursue to retrieve the lost resources. And along the way, maybe you'll accumulate additional resources, because you can have resources as treasure. When it gets absurd for your characters to somehow attain 20,000 gold pieces for a dungeon delve, you can instead start looking at larger global issues of, if I save your town from falling into hell, I'm going to want 10 resources from your city. Establish a storehold there for, like a storehouse, like a 5th rank storehouse there for me, so I always have materials I need, and I want to establish a smithy and a tinker shop there. So I'll have a 5th rank Bastion located next to a storehouse that's also operating as a 5th rank tinker and smithy shop. So I can do all that 5th rank stuff there using those dice. And they'll be like, okay. So there you go. So that would be like the price you charge to get Elturel back from Avernus, for instance. So there you go. So we're on workshop now. Nice. And what is it? It's 5 o'clock? Okay. You know what? I'm feeling like let's finish the workshop, and then I'm going to let it breathe for the day. I'll jump offline, and then I'll go into we'll go into complications and the crafting, harvest, and power scaffolding as like an omni scaffold that we can then feed different facilities into, like, at different points of access. It'll make sense when you see the graph, or the flow chart, as it were. It's simple. Workshop, Rumi. Workshop is created. Artisan tools. Do we have anything here yet? Okay, great. Artisan tools. Workshop becomes equipped with 6 different kinds of artisan tools. First rank equals artisan tools times 6. Jewelers. This is probably going to be the most expensive one. Glass blowers could be the most expensive. Let's see what their costs are real quick. 25 gold. 30 gold. Yeah. Craft options. When you use the craft skill, you can do one of these things. Adventuring gear. Adventuring gear is up to, I believe, 100 gold pieces. First rank equals adventuring gear table. First rank plus, sure. First rank plus, yes. What else? Magic item implement. If you are 9th level, first rank plus equals craft magic implement. What else you got? Source of inspiration. After spending an entire short rest in the workshop, you gain heroic inspiration. You can't gain this benefit. empower equals gain a point of inspiration. Craft. 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 What else? Enlarging the facility. I don't care about that. Holy Hannah. Okay, great. So we did that. So that actually went by really quickly. So let's see. Yeah, I think I'm good to go anyway. I'm feeling like this is the right time to peel away. Trophy room, war room, training area, theater, teleportation, storehouse. Okay, so we have all these things now. Now we can start peeling them apart and then dropping them into the facilities and to the issuing orders. We'll take the scaffold of crafting, empowering, and harvesting, and the 5 ranks, and we'll be able to see which facilities allow for like workshop and smithy. Those are workshop and smithy. Those do crafting and empowerment, while like a greenhouse does empowerment and harvesting. So we'll be able to break down those separate categories to see where each of these facilities sits, as well as look at the scaffolding. We already know all the the gold piece amounts line up. We already made sure all those line up. But I'm not sure how much detail we actually need to go into crafting each of them, though it might be a good idea, like garden and like the greenhouse and garden. Like, we're destroying the need for a greenhouse or a garden to craft poison, antitoxins, food, cure potions. You just need to have harvesting and empowering, for instance. You need to have proficiency in those orders for you to be able to set up facilities to be able to maintain those things, or you can just issue the harvesting order and just roll your die to see if you succeed at the task or not, because you can try it. It's just, are you specialized in getting advantages that you need to, or the benefits that you need to be able to make sure that your time is successful. So we'll start working on that scaffold, and we're going to go back. We're going to look at the Bastion events. That's the next thing. That's, I guess, the actual full next thing that's on our list, since right now we actually know all the things we can basically do with the Bastion at this point. Now we can start, and we have the die rolls that you need to be able to determine if you succeed or not. And generally speaking, if you don't succeed the die roll, it creates a complication, which is hypothetically triggering a Bastion event. But I know that the Bastion events is going to be pretty bland in flavor. So we're gonna pick these things apart and then start looking at how we can flesh each one out to be a little more in depth, depending which order you issued, or whether it was crafting or researching or recruiting or whatever it is that you did. I want to have separate general complications that each of those general orders produce, and then maybe even break it down, like have a table breakdown. Hey, I have like on a list of 1 to 12, like these are the things that can happen, and having like the more boring normal stuff be at the lower end. So like a D4 would hit just a bunch of mundane tasks, like mundane complications. But like by the time you get to 3rd or 4th rank, like maybe like your Bastion gets attacked by a Lithid. It's like, that's super specific. It's like, well, yeah, you're building a demi-plane. That stuff kind of pops up on their radar. It's like, that's the complication that you would have involved with like trying to empower your facility to create a demi-plane, for instance. So yeah, those are some of the ideas. But we're going to come back and we're going to start fleshing out what those are to be vague enough that they can be plug and played into, but distinct enough that they help create specific flavors that you can then, as a DM, riff off of yourself to start generating plot hooks off of those things. And we can provide some ideas about different like random type of plot hooks that can be generated from these things. I think that might be worth our time. So that sounds like a fun thing to do. We're going to do that tomorrow. We're going to be back at the same time as we were today, 2:00 p.m. tomorrow. We're going to continue with Bastion events, converting those into ability complications. I'm going to be back tomorrow morning, probably by 7 till 9 o'clock or so. We'll be working on Eberron artwork. I'm going to log out for the day now, and I'm going to spend the rest of my night doing what Phil's do when they're offline, including continuing to develop pages in the Eberron document so we can keep pushing the ball forward. I am expecting to be done with layouts in January, which means that my downtime off screen will be spent on artwork, advancing the things that we're poking at during the day in our morning stream. So once I get those layouts done, I can start pushing the ball forward and all that stuff. And then I have to wait for the monster manual to drop in February for us to know what the new, to actually know what the formatting looks like, and how do whites change, right? How the bar guests change. I want to see all these changes before we lock in. These are what your characters are supposed to be messing around with. And hopefully in March or so, we'll be hitting 7th level in the mega dungeon. So I can start taking the monsters that are in the Eberron adventure and put them against 7th level characters in the playtesting that we're doing to see if they feel right or not, or what we need to adjust from there. Because I want to make sure I calibrate the CR of the monsters that your team is facing. Was you step into a room, there's shades here. How many shades should be here? Don't know, but we'll figure it out. So once we see what they can do, we'll be able to start parsing that stuff out. So I'm hoping to have Eberron published by May. Before I had wanted to publish by March, but I'm willing to push it back 2 months. And then all these Spelljammer books, the Color Mana system, the Martial Powers book, the Bastion system, all that stuff is basically starting to stack up, and potentially by March bottleneck behind the Eberron campaign, the Eberron adventure. But once that Eberron adventure clears our plate, we're open to start just dropping in all these other pieces and start getting those in laid out and doing artwork for those, and start cracking those out across the DMsGuild as well. So 2025, once we get into Q2, I'm expecting us to have a lot of activity going on. So if this stuff was exciting to you and you want to explore these ideas more with me, you are very much invited. Join me on my Discord channel. Like and subscribe here. Check out some of the books I have listed in the description down below. Again, they're all 100% free preview. I build the books so you can play with them. You buy them as basically a sign of appreciation that I did. So thank you, and thanks to you. I'll see you guys tomorrow morning. Laters.